Yo, what's up guys, it's NLW Figs here, back again with another video. Today, a Q&A. Now, I asked you guys for some questions on Instagram probably about a month ago, so I'm sorry it's taken this long to answer your questions, but I'm going to get right into them in just a bit. But before I do, make sure you like the video and subscribe, all that good stuff, as I'm uploading a video every day here on the NLW Figs channel in the run up to Christmas. So, without further ado, let's get into the questions. First one comes from Lord Harry Storer, and it says, will you bring Okada into the NLW roster? Now, as I say for all of these questions, it's all kind of subjective, because I could bring pretty much anyone into the NLW roster at any time. Okada's definitely someone who I'd love to bring in because of, you know, the match quality that he has. I think there's a lot of fun feuds to be had with Okada in NLW, so, you know, I've had a lot of fun filming with him for NLW 24/7. No reason he can't come to NLW in the future. Next question comes from Riley Clark, and it is, what's your favourite figure that you own? And I would have to say this Ultimate Edition Shawn Michaels for a number of reasons. One of the main ones being, I bought it on sale maybe like a year ago or a couple months ago, and it was for $30. And now it goes at around 120 if you look on eBay, so a very expensive figure, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. But other than that, just the fact that, you know, I'm a big Shawn Michaels fan, you know, I like this attire. It's Ruthless Aggression, which I feel like doesn't get a lot of love with the Mattel releases, and again, it's just great for posing, great figure all round in my opinion, my favourite in my collection. At Home Expert asks, when do you think NLW will ever end? You know, hopefully never is what they've put, but yeah, again, like, I don't know when it'll end. It could be if whatever happens in life, you never know really. I would like to keep it going in some form for as long as possible, you know, even if it's not as regular uploads. I'd still like to do a show every couple of months if it's not possible to do it as regularly as I'm doing now. So, you know what, if there is an end, I don't know if it'll be a definitive end, because I've always got the bug to try and come back and film NLW like a couple of years ago. I was actually going to stop NLW in like 2018, and I decided to keep going, and I'm very glad I did, because it's grown into, you know, something that's so cool to like make and film, and, you know, with this new camera and stuff. It's just something that I'm really enjoying at the moment, despite my hard drive crash, which halted a lot of momentum for NLW. But aside from that, yeah, hopefully it'll never end, as long as I'm able to keep doing it. But if it does, I'm going to go out of a bang, guaranteed. Question from Sherlock Spam says, are you willing to team up with smaller channels to help boost them up in subs or views? Now, this is something that, you know, a lot of people kind of ask for, like collaborations and stuff like that. And not to be rude or anything, but like, I just don't have a lot of time for it, so I have to be quite like selective with what I kind of take on. If someone comes to me with a really cool idea, like for instance last year, Suplex Network approached me with the idea of a draft between me and himself, and I thought that was a really cool idea, so I was on board for it. And likewise with like Spam Wrestling, I had this idea for like a Ruthless Aggression type series. So, you know, I will work with some people. It's just, you know, I'm not gonna, if I said yes to everyone, I would have no time on my hands, unfortunately. But it's definitely something that I'm open to doing in the future. I'd love to do, like, host some sort of pick fed show where a bunch of smaller creators kind of put their matches together, and I would, like, commentate on it and kind of show it to people. You know, I think that would be a cool thing for the community. But yeah, aside from that, the only reason I don't do more collaborations is simply time constraints. It's nothing personal, you know. Sheehan Furman, sorry if I've butchered that name, but how hard is it to make new storylines and to bring in new wrestlers? Well, bringing in new people is one of my favourite parts about NLW, you know. It's because I get to think of new creative ways to incorporate people into the roster, someone with a different moveset. Likewise, it's not as hard as you might think. Like, new storylines, it's a little bit more tricky, but because I've watched so much wrestling, it's kind of easy to kind of pick and choose bits of different storylines and incorporate it into NLW. And to be honest, like the NLW versus Metal stuff at the moment, it's not exact rehash of the NLW NWO stuff, but I like the faction warfare type stuff, so there's stuff that can be sprung with that, if you see what I mean. So how hard is it? It can be challenging sometimes, but sometimes I'm in quite a creative mood, so you know, it's not as bad. And as for bringing in new wrestlers, if it's someone like Walter, for instance, if there's like a figure that's been released of someone, I'll start thinking immediately of ways to bring them in. Like for instance, RVD's new figure is coming out soon, and there's parts of me that are thinking, right, how would I bring him back into NLW, if you see what I mean? Dylan's WWE figures writes, what keeps you motivated to continue filming? Now, this is something I've struggled with recently because my hard drive obviously bust. You know the story, I've milked it a lot because it's been quite a stressful situation. That demotivated me quite a lot, but what motivates me to keep going is writing storylines and wanting to see them play out, and also it's quite motivating that you guys are into NLW and you want to see what happens next with the story. I have to say, a lot of you guys' comments is what keeps me motivated, because just seeing your excitement for what I put out and the content I create is motivating in itself, so that's what motivates me to keep filming. Other than that, if I've written like a cool match card that I want to get to, for instance, the upcoming Metal Revival show is something that I'm really looking forward to starting filming. That's something that keeps me motivated, and you know, again with the NLW 24/7 stuff like the Patreon requests, just all the different patrons' ideas keeps me motivated to keep filming. That wrestling fig dude asks, what in your opinion is the most underrated wrestling figure? Can be AEW, WWE, old or new? Well, I would say, in my opinion, one of my underrated figures that I know doesn't, and not that it doesn't get a lot of love, but doesn't really get brought up a lot, is this NXT London Finn Balor. This is the attire he wore at the the NXT show that I went to back in 2015 in London. This cool Jack the Ripper kind of Bloodborne type attire. So obviously the jacket and the hat were really cool, but I just love the the design on the back there and the design on the front. I think this is the best, at least my favourite Demon Finn Balor figure to date, and it's one that I use constantly, and it moves really well too. So yeah, I would say this is probably one that's quite underrated. I love it. I don't know the exact series it is from. I think it's one of the 56, around then. But yeah, this is definitely my favourite figure, one of my favourite figures in my collection, and one that I think is quite underrated. Nathan Colton asks, how would you feel rather about adding Kota Ibushi to your roster? Definitely a possibility. I've been wanting to use this custom figure for a while, so that would be a great chance to use him. And I would say, maybe after WrestleMania, I like Kota Ibushi. There you go, there's a promise. He will come to NLW at some point. Damarion Chamber Sophie, I'm sorry I cut off your last name there, but will you upload your EFW matches if you're able to? Yes, 100%. I actually found a DVD in my house which has the EFW matches. The first episode that I shot, in fact, it was a prelude to No Limits Wrestling. I think Carlito wrestled Chris Masters on it. It might have actually been an exact copy of the NLW premiere, so I'd love to find it and kind of watch it back and then hopefully upload the footage somehow. Don't know how to get it from a DVD onto the computer because I'm not a great whiz at that kind of thing. As you know, my hard drive crashed. But yeah, I would definitely like to upload those matches. It'd be interesting to see how far I've come in the past, like, 12 years, 11 years since I started. So that's it for part 1. There's a couple more questions I want to get to, so I'll get to them in part 2, which will be released in a couple of days' time. But for now, if you enjoyed, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more wrestling figure content. That's it from me for part 1. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.